Lesson 94, fractions and decimals written as a percent. So this is what looks like a really, really complicated lesson, and it's really, really not. So the book says to change a number to a percent, multiply the number by 100%. Seems easy enough. When you start looking at fractions, it looks more complicated. So I'm going to give you a couple of different ways. Use whatever way works best for you. So when you think about what a percent is, it means out of 100, right? So 40% is the same as 40 hundredths. So to change a decimal number to a percent, move the decimal 2 places to the right and add a percent sign. Oops. So 40 over 100 is the same thing as 40 hundredths, right? Well, if I think about that percent sign, I can say, oh, those two little zeros mean out of 100, so it's the same as this. And if you read a decimal number out loud correctly, you can easily change it to a percent by just moving the decimal. So we'll look into that. Okay, so move the decimal 2 places to the right, add a percent sign. To change a fraction to a percent, change it to a decimal first. And you don't have to do that. With this book's method, you don't have to. I like it. This is my method. Works easier for me. Kind of whichever way you want the best. But once you change the fraction to a decimal, then you just move it over 2 places and add the percent sign. Again, we'll come back to that. So that's kind of my 3 ways of doing this. We're going to investigate all of them. This is kind of a longish lesson, but listen to what you need to, and then you can skip the rest. Okay, so the new concept is we used to change fractions to a denominator of 100 and make them into percents. So this was pretty easy, 3/5. 5 times 20 is 100, 3 times 20 is 60, so it gets 60%. What if I had some crazy fraction like 2/27? There's nothing really easy that multiplies 27 by what to be 100, so we can't really always do that. So the book's method is, we're going to take that 3/5, multiply by 100%. So 3 times 100 is 300. I've got my percent sign, move that over. Remember, any number over 1 is the same thing. So 5 times 1 is 5. Well, that still doesn't really give us a percent, does it? But if you remember that fraction is a division problem, so that bar can mean divided by. Top number always goes in the box. So put your 300% in the box. 5 goes into 360 times. There's your percent. So your answer is 60%, right? So that's the new concept in the book. The way I like to do it is I take my fraction and I think, oh, that's a division problem. I'm going to change it into a decimal first and then to a percent. So I know that the top number always goes in the box. So that's my divisor, my dividend. Okay. So will 5 go into 3? No. I just bring my decimal up, put it here. Will 5 go into 30? Sure, 6 times. So my decimal equivalent of 3/5 is 6/10. Could it also be 60 hundredths? Or 60 hundredths? And if I move my decimal over 2 places, I get 60%. Those 2 little zeros on my percent sign show that it means out of 100. Okay, example 1. We're going to change 1/3 into a percent. So I'm going to use the book's way. I'm going to say 1/3 times 100%. 1 times 100, so 100%. 3 times 1 is 3. That's my division problem. So how many times will 3 go into 1? Won't happen. How many times will 3 go into 10? So I end up with 33 1/3, and I put my percent sign up there. Or I can say, I know that's a division problem. I'm going to start before I get my bigger number. It's exactly the same process. I've just added my zeros ahead of time here. So 3 goes into 1, won't happen. Bring my decimal up. 3 goes into 10, 3, 3. So my answer ended up being 33.3% once I move my decimal over. I think I'm going too fast, but I think you get the idea. Email me if you get stuck on this, because it's really simple once you practice a little bit. Okay, example 2. 1.2, and I'm going to change that to a percent. I don't have to do anything. All I have to move is my decimal over or multiply by 100, right? So 1, 2, 1, 2, 120%. Easy peasy. When it's already a decimal, man, life is good. You're going to move your decimal 2 places to the right every time and put a percent sign on the end. So changing a decimal to a percent is a breeze. Fractions get a little more complicated, but not a whole lot. Okay, so now I have a mixed number. There are a couple different ways to do that. The book gives you 2 methods. So I like splitting the number, and I like thinking of it as 2 plus 1/4. You can change it to an improper fraction, but that seems like extra steps to me. So I'm going to leave that 2 alone. And remember that 1/4 is a division problem. The top number always goes in the box. So I end up with 0.25. So 2 plus 0.25, or 25 hundredths, if I say it correctly, is the same thing as 2 and 25 hundredths. Oh wait, I take my decimal, move it over 2 places to the right, and I get 225%. So that's why I like leaving that 2 alone, because that's a smaller fraction that I have to deal with. Again, if you're going to forget about that 2, make it into an improper fraction. Okay, example 4 is the same as example 3, more or less. Again, email me if you have any questions, if you get stuck on it. Example 5 is a lovely ratio. I love ratios. So they say you've got 20 girls out of 30 total students, and I think they're on a bus or something. So a ratio can be written as a fraction, right? So 20 out of 30. Well, they want basically to be thinking about, if I had 100 students, how many would be girls? What percent? So out of 100, how many girls would I have? So, oh look, it's a division problem. So, put the top number in the box. 30 goes into 20. Wait, is that the same thing as 3 goes into 2, or 2 divided by 3? Why, yes it is. So I go ahead and do that, and I get 0.6666, and I added another one just because it looked like a nasty number, that 666. So we get 6666 behind a decimal, right? Move my decimal over 2 places, so it doesn't matter how many are on the back end. I'm going to move it 2 places and put that percent sign on, and I get my 66.66, 66 and 66 hundredths percent. If I want to leave this as a fraction, I can, instead of having my remainder here, I just have a remainder. I get my 2/3. Because I'm dividing decimals, I don't like to mix up fractions and decimals. I personally think that's kind of, I don't know, just rubs me the wrong way. So I like having either all decimals or all fractions or mixed numbers. So either answer is correct, right? So you can multiply it by 100%. And if you can remember that your fraction is the same as a division problem. So those are going to be your keys to life on this whole thing. If you think about, back to our example, if you have 30 students, 20 of them are girls, what this is telling me is if I had 100 students, so out of 100, that percent sign, 66 and 2/3 of them would be girls. So I'd have a girl maybe a very short girl or something for the 2/3. I don't know. Probably would not have, we'd probably say we have 66 girls. or maybe round up 67. Anyhow, that's what they're saying when they ask you what percent would it be. So in this problem, you have 66.66 or 66 2/3 of the total students are girls. That's your percent. Okay, good luck with that. That was not the best lesson. Math Antics, and I'll see if I can put one of these on the website, is a really good website for explaining percents and decimals. So I'll add that on. Thanks, bye.